What's up, guys? Brandon here from Savage Sounds Entertainment. We're about 6 days into January 2025. About 5 years ago, I did a video answering all of the top 50 questions you should ask your wedding DJ before you hire them. I figured 5 years has passed. We're coming out of what's been a great engagement season. What better time to do a refresher on these questions? So I thought this time, since I just opened the brand new website, Savage Sounds Kentucky, you can check that out right here below. What a better time to go through and answer these questions again with 5 years of hindsight in there. That way you can get to know your DJ if you're looking at Savage Sounds Entertainment for your big day. Before you even reach out, you could do the interview without having to do anything. So I have got the top 50 questions I just found on a random website of what you should ask your wedding DJ before hiring them on your big day. So I'm going to start 1 through 50. I'll answer each question, give you kind of my spin on it, maybe give you even some tips you should ask other DJs. I want everybody to have the most knowledge they can going into what usually to that point is the biggest day of your life, okay? So we're just going to go straight out. So number one, first thing you need to ask your DJ is your wedding date available? Anytime you're reaching out to any vendor for that matter, make sure to include your date. That is a big thing. Many vendors book about a year and a half out, maybe even 2 years, depending on what their reputation and their market is. Definitely make sure to throw that date in there and make sure that your particular wedding date is available. How far in advance do you require wedding bookings? For me, it's not so much what I require. It's more, what is available. Unfortunately, because I am the way that I am and I pay so much attention to what we do at these weddings that I work alone. I have a hard time kind of letting that go into somebody else's hands just because I care so much about how you perceive Savage Sounds Entertainment. My name's on it. So, for me, it's all about getting your date in there before somebody else does. It's about the realest way that I could put that. How long have you been a professional DJ musician? Make sure you ask who you're looking at, how long they have been doing whatever it is that they're doing within the wedding world, right? Experience is important. Now, that being said, everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody's got to get their foot in the door somehow, and at some point or another, everybody does their first wedding. Nobody's perfect. People make mistakes, myself included. So I'm not saying don't be afraid to hire, we'll just call them rookies. At the moment, don't be afraid to just do your due diligence, get to know them, meet them in person, especially if they're brand new, feel their vibe. And, if you vibe with them, give them a chance. However, experience is important because, in my opinion, all great leaders, all of the folks that do the best in whatever their lanes are the ones who make mistakes and learn from them. Mistakes are the most powerful learning tool we can have in life, let alone within the wedding space. So yeah, definitely ask them how long they've been and use your judgment. Read reviews, things like that. How many events do you play in a typical weekend? Me personally, anywhere from 1 to 3. It just depends on what my schedule looks like. Because I am as budget friendly as I am, and kind of below what that market price is, I do get a lot of inquiries. You have options if you check out, or if you're looking at Savage Sounds Kentucky, you can check out that page where I kind of break down what pricing is and what your options are. It just depends really on what my calendar is. If you book me for your rehearsal to help with coordination, stuff like that, your wedding day, your rehearsal day is booked and blocked off from doing any other weddings or anything like that. So for me, anywhere from 1 to 3, it just depends on what my calendar looks like that week. Have you played at our wedding venue before? Are you willing to check the venue out in advance? This is a good question. I didn't read these questions prior. I'm just reading them for the first time. I literally just copied and pasted in a Word file, so they're new to me too. This is a good question. Always make sure that your DJ or whoever's providing service at your wedding is familiar with your venue or your venue type. I say venue type because Most of these wedding venues fall within a specific, what I call a demographic, right? A barn's a barn, a ballroom's a ballroom, a industrial venue's an industrial venue. Like, they're all pretty well the same, although some have different requirements and different things you can and can't do based on whatever their leadership does. Anyone you hire for a wedding should be willing, if you want them to check out that wedding venue in advance. Just be mindful of schedule. Some, me personally, this is all that I do now, so my schedule is pretty much open to anything as long as I'm not booked for another client. But some people in the wedding business are still working a full-time corporate job or whatever. So just kind of be mindful of that schedule. But anybody you hire for your wedding that you want to come check out your venue first just to make you feel better about the situation should absolutely do that. Will you be the DJ at our wedding? When it comes to DJs, absolutely great question. As far as wedding DJs go in the wedding business, you have what I am, which is just kind of sole person. You hire me, you get me. Many other businesses are what we call multi-op businesses, which means that who you're talking to may not necessarily be the person providing the service for that day. And that's okay, because there are a lot of great ones out there that are multi-op, that run great businesses and have great people working under them. I've met several of them. But unfortunately, there are some businesses out there that don't take the time to kind of weed out. They just kind of throw bodies at it, as we used to say in the corporate world where I worked. Great question. Make sure you ask that question, because energy is everything. If you're talking to me as your, being your potential DJ, and we vibe, you like kind of like my energy, so on and so forth, that plays a big role in your wedding day. Having that vibe with your team. You don't want to get their day of and find out it's somebody different. Not that somebody different is going to do anything to mess your day up, but it is very important to make sure that who you're hiring is who you get, right? So make sure you ask, will that person be, whether it's a DJ or photographer, whoever, make sure whoever you're hiring is the person that's going to be there performing those services that day. Will there be additional members? I'm kind of rewording this. Will there be additional people performing service at your wedding? This is kind of along the lines of bands, but asking, will you have anybody with you when you work my wedding? It's another good question to ask, because again, energy is everything. If you want to meet said people, your vendor, whoever that is, whether it be a DJ, photographer with a second shooter or whatever, if you want to meet those second people or those helpers or roadies, whatever we want to call them, you should absolutely have the option to do so. So yeah, great question there too. Can you share any references or client testimonials? Whew, that's another one. So, me personally, I have had a few people, not a bunch in my time, ask me for references, and I happily do that. Reviews are everything. Testimonials are everything. Word of mouth is everything. The one little secret that I will give you, though, just because I am who I am, when you're reading those reviews and those testimonials, make sure it's somebody that's an actual bride or an actual groom, because unfortunately, sometimes you may get, I don't want to call it tainted testimonials. Maybe I'm inventing a word there. But sometimes you get friends of friends recommending each other, especially in an online age where you're just typing reviews or whatever. Just make sure you're kind of paying attention to what those are. But yes, anybody should be able to give you references or testimonials. If it is someone new, like we talked about a few minutes ago, the rookies, just learn their vibe. Don't be afraid to use a new person. Just make sure it's somebody who's dedicated to what they're trying to do. I was a first timer myself. I didn't have a whole lot of experience in the wedding business. But I took what I viewed would apply to the wedding business, and that's kind of where my talking point was until I got enough under my belt that I had those reviews and references. How would you describe your style? Whew, that's another tough one. My style is my style. My style is whatever your style is as a bride or a groom. Because I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to be in that moment. And in order for for me to help you get there, you have to kind of be in your own space. So my style is comfort. If you're talking about from a music perspective, I'm more of a hip hop head than anything. But I still like, if it, I tell you what, this is coming to me for the first time now ever. My style is passion. Um, Anything that has real feeling to it, anything that elicits real emotion, anything that I can identify with is my style. And whatever it is in that moment, my style is making you comfortable enough to share a moment with your loved ones and be vulnerable to those emotions that you're looking for on wedding day. That's probably the best way I could describe my style. From a music standpoint, my style is whatever yours is, because all I want to do is get emotion and happiness from you, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get that. And once I figure that point out, that's what I'm going to be. Can you provide a sample of your music or a video of an event you played? This is also something else great you should ask your wedding DJ or your wedding vendors. A sample of what you do. Now, the sample of music is it's very subjective, depending on what your musical style is. One of the things that I tell a lot of my clients, and if any former brides are watching this, you're going to hear a familiar analogy here in a second. People behave differently when they're in their own circle than in big groups. So if you jam out to, say, Bruno Mars on the way to work, and you're listening to Treasure, right? Treasure's a more kind of off the cuff, what I would call a B-side song. Treasure's not going to pop the crowd as much as what Uptown Funk would, right? So the sample of the music question is kind of an almost impossible one to answer. But people will react to the same basic line of several songs or several genres. There are several, your Cupid Shuffles, your Cha-Cha Slides. Everybody loves Yeah by Usher. Everybody loves Get Low by Lil Jon. Journey. You got ABBA, Dancing Queen, Footloose, stuff like that. Those, and you build in the B-sides around those. So the sample of the music, you've got some that everybody's going to love, but it's really finding what the couple wants the most and making them comfortable. For me personally, video of an event I played, there's a few of them out there. Unfortunately, because I am by myself and I am so focused on what I'm doing to make you guys comfortable, I don't get a lot of time to do video. It's something I've tried to do. It's something that I know that I need to do. It's just when I'm in that moment, I find what I'm doing at that moment a little more important. There are pictures. I'll throw pictures out there every week just because I can simply raise my phone up and click. But actually putting those videos together and getting those moments, I'm so in the moment that I don't have time to document it. That's about the best way that I can put it. Do you play mostly indoor or outdoor events? It's between the two. It just depends on where we are in the year and weather. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about indoor outdoor stuff. For me personally, indoor events seem to elicit more energy out of the people. You tend to have more fun or a more energetic dancing portion of your reception, because I feel like that energy is kind of trapped in that room and can't go anywhere. When you're outside, it's not as much. Just me personally, it doesn't matter to me if I'm inside or outside. As long as my equipment's covered, I'm good. I'd say a mixture between the two. Definitely outside for ceremonies the most. But yeah, either or. You ask me, indoor venue, you're going to have a more hype party, I guess is the best way to put it. How extensive is your song library? Well, it's extensive. I have no idea. I have kind of an unlimited access to music. The software that I use to DJ with, I subscribe to what's called a DJ pool. That gives me basically unlimited access to everything, because that company pays the record companies to allow me to take those songs. I don't know if this question's on here or not, but it came to mind, so I'm going to kind of address it here. If it is, I'll skip it later. Streaming music. Ask your DJ, do they stream music? You do not. I repeat, you do not ever want to stream music for your wedding, whether it be the ceremony, the reception, whatever it is. Do not depend on an internet connection for your music on your day, because your music is your atmosphere and technology is not dependable. So make sure you ask your DJ if they stream or not. If they do, or they have the capability and it just helps, then great. If they depend on streaming, you do what you want to do, and no shade to any DJs that do that, but it's not dependable. It's not the play, in my professional opinion. How do you keep your music collection up to date? By doing weddings, by doing receptions. There's a lot of songs out there today that honestly I probably wouldn't know a whole lot about if it wasn't for as ingrained in weddings as I am. Chapel Roan, I think her name is. I would have no idea existed if it wasn't for Wedding Day. There's a lot of them out there, so I keep it up to date by doing requests and stuff, which I'm sure is going to be in here somewhere. Matter of fact, it's right here. It's almost the next one. Can we request specific songs? For me, you're absolutely welcome to request. The biggest thing that I usually tell couples when they ask me, can their guests request music, is absolutely, as long as it fits the narrative. As long as it fits the narrative we're in that moment. For example, if we're getting low to Little John and Aunt Karen wants to hear Mustang Sally, Aunt Karen's going to have to wait a few minutes, because that's just going to shift the energy too much. And more than likely, the people jamming out to Lil Jon aren't going to like Mustang Sally. And then I've got 200 people staring at me like, what are you thinking? So as long as it fits the narrative, yes. And as long as it doesn't get to be so overwhelming that I can't concentrate on what I'm doing. If I've got a line of people off the booth, I might have to cut it short. But I mean, for me, requests can be very helpful because they help me kind of fill in those gaps. Me personally, I DJ song for song, meaning that once we open that dance floor, I'm kind of going with the flow. I'm going with the vibe. I'm going with the guests and the demographic and kind of what they're telling me to do. I'm thinking of songs on the fly that fit that moment and how I can put the puzzle pieces in separate places to manipulate that energy up and down. And when we get specifically, a couple of hours into general dancing, as I call it, requests can be helpful because they kind of bide me time and help me fill those holes to spread out those big moments a little more. It helps a lot. Can we give you a do not playlist? Absolutely. One of the last things that I'm going to ask you when we have that final meeting before wedding day is, what songs, artists, or genres do you not want to hear? Again, everything I do is about putting you guys in a moment and keeping you there. I don't want to do anything to snatch you out of that moment, especially play a song that you hate or an artist that you can't stand, or maybe that song or artist picks a scab from a previous situation. I always want to avoid that. So I always ask if there's anything you don't want played, and I suggest you make sure any DJ you hire does the same thing. Can you also act as the MC for announcements? Absolutely. I do hear kind of horror stories here and there about some DJs out there that don't want to talk on the mic. For me, it's a very important thing that your DJ connects with your guests, because everybody's not outgoing. You have to make them feel comfortable. And if you can manage to make the people who are more introverted, if you can manage to make them feel comfortable, the other people are just going to kind of pop for that, because those people are having so much fun that they're including themselves in the situation. So yes, absolutely. MC, voice of the event, make all those announcements. I like to connect with the guests. I like to kind of, if I'm walking past them by the bar, or the restrooms, or whatever, I like to kind of, small talk on them, have a good time. I see grandma, how you doing, young lady? You look beautiful tonight, so on and so forth. I like to connect. What's your MC style on wedding day? So this is another good question for me. Hopefully I don't get myself in trouble, but I'm going to kind of use the same description as I do when I meet in person with couples. I'm not a game show host. Like, I don't stand behind the booth and yell all night. Not that I knock that style. Like, there's absolutely a lane for that style. and people enjoy it. People like it. So I don't knock that style. I know several DJs who do it. Shout out to them. Me personally, it's not my style. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm afraid to talk on the mic. I could get in front of 100,000 people and be fine. I don't have that embarrassment or shyness in me anymore. It's not about that. For me, my personal opinion, I feel like people have more fun when they feel like what they're doing is natural and their idea, like that they've been brought to that place. Now, the way that I kind of offset not being that game show host, not that I can't play that role because I can, I just feel like people have more fun and it's more memorable when it's natural. The way that I offset that is I use psychology and the way that I interact with your guests, the music we listen to, the timing in which we do things. I just put it all together, and the way that I focus on keeping bride and groom in that good, positive space, I feel like their energy is contagious to the rest of the room. And as long as we keep them good, everybody else falls in line. And I just kind of call it my formula. But my style is just kind of being that pillar of confidence and that pillar of everything's okay and let's have a good time and have a positive day. How often do you typically take breaks? I don't really take breaks. I might pop in and outside for a couple of minutes just to kind of get some air. But I don't really take breaks. Do you try to hype up shy crowds? Absolutely. There are sometimes energy is different at various events. Some families don't like to get up and dance. Some families would rather talk and just kind of vibe, and that's cool. So we find other things to do to kind of bide that time, whether it be the shoe game, an anniversary dance, whatever it is. If it is a crowd where we can't get energy there are several things we can do, from what I call dance floor selfies, where we get everybody on the dance floor, have your photographer take a picture of you two with everyone, and then we'll do a second one where I'll say on 3, everybody say Smith, whatever your new last name is. And right after that cheering dies down, I'll drop like the Cupid Shuffle or the Cha-Cha Slide, and people will start dancing. There's several different ways that we can get shy crowds going. I don't really have issues with non-dancing at weddings. It's just not, I don't know, it's just not, doesn't happen to me. How often, I already did that one. What will you use as filler music during breaks? Again, I don't really take breaks. I do use an autoplay feature during what I call dinner or cocktail hour. Stuff like that for me is really kind of borderline dancing music. You can make the argument that some of the songs that I play during dinner and cocktail hour are dancing songs. But it's not anything that people are going to go, woo, if I play it on the dance floor, right? It's stuff that just keep people kind of moving in their seats. If there is something going on where I have to step away from the booth during general dancing, if, I'm acting as coordinator or whatever, then I will throw several songs that I know is going to keep the dance floor going into that autoplay setting, and I will step away, handle what I need to handle, and I'll be back. So whatever that vibe is at the moment is kind of what that filler music would be. Can you help us choose music for the processional, recessional, first dance? Absolutely. So this is one of my favorite things to do. As you can see behind me, I'm a professional wrestling fan. I have been my entire life. It's kind of an obsession. I have a very large collection in my basement that many of you, if you're watching this and you've been here to my house before, it's kind of crazy. I love psychology. I'm absolutely enamored with it. I find it fascinating. So helping you choose your processional song to elicit that reaction from your fiance and your guests is one of my favorite things in the world to do, to help you build that scene, specifically to brides, to help you build that scene of that entrance and help you find that moment you've dreamed of since you were a little girl. I find it very, very rewarding, and it means a lot to me to have a hand in that moment. So yes, I will absolutely help you with that. As far as like your first dance, stuff like that, I can't tell you what's in your heart between you and your fiance or your new spouse. typically stuff that I can give you suggestions, but my big suggestion is usually whatever you guys do to hang out, chill out, do that, and get on YouTube, search First Dance songs, and just vibe out. And whatever touches you here is going to absolutely touch you day of. Always ask your DJ or whoever you're hiring what the rate is. I think that's kind of a basic. Make sure you ask, does your rate include time spent setting up, breakdown? Me personally, no, I don't. That time is included. I don't charge you for me setting up and tearing down. If you checked out my pricing page I think it's in the About Us section, you know what that is. I charge one solid rate, and you've got me for the day. You've got me for the duration of your event. Whatever time I spend setting up beforehand and after, that is on me. That's on my time. Do you require a deposit to secure your date? Yes, I do. I'll just charge $100 deposit. For me, it's probably kind of low, but that's kind of what I charge. And that's just to kind of justify me blocking your date off and turning people away. Do you offer payment plans? I personally do. You're welcome to make payments leading all the way up to the day, and I provide you with what I call an updated balance agreement to reflect those payments. Do you charge extra for special requests? Absolutely not. You know up front exactly what you're paying for. Anything extra that I do is kind of on me. I'm never going to sneak a extra charge in there for you. You always know beforehand. Can you provide wireless microphones for toasts and speeches? Does this cost extra? Absolutely not. All of my equipment that I own is at your disposal for whatever you may need it for. I bring everything with me day of. I've even been known to buy brand new equipment for special requests for things that a bride wants done at a wedding. Everything that I own is available to you. I do own all of my equipment. None of my stuff is rented. Everything is bought by me. That's how I kind of help maintain that budget-friendly price that I have. Do I offer additional services, light shows, video screen slideshows? I've kind of gotten out of the slideshows. There just wasn't a big demand for it. Didn't justify me maintaining that projector. Video screens, I do still have a video screen. Dance lights are always available to you. I do have uplighting. Just ask me, we'll look at it, make sure it's going to look good, and we'll go from there. Travel fees, always make sure you ask if whoever you're hiring charges a travel fee. Me personally, if it's an hour or less from Louisville, I will absolutely no travel fee. Even if it's a couple minutes outside of that hour, I typically don't charge it. But if it's too much past an hour, I'll just ask for enough to cover my gas. Refund cancellation policy, for me personally, deposits are non-refundable. It just kind of is what it is. My refund policy is pretty generous. 60 days out and above, I will refund you everything you've paid me to that point minus your deposit. Anything within that 60-day window technically is not refundable, but like I like to tell all the people that I meet with, I don't consider myself to be an asshole. I consider myself to be a very genuine person. It's just kind of how I live my life. I'm not going to make a bad situation worse and keep all of your money. It's just not what I'm going to do. But if you pay me in full and you call me a week out and tell me your cousin's going to DJ your wedding for free and you want a refund, I'm probably going to hang up on you because that's shady. Just kind of is what it is, right? I treat every situation kind of for what it is. Liability insurance. Do you carry liability insurance? I do. I don't personally use the event by event insurance. I carry a yearly liability policy, meaning that if my trailer falls off of my truck on the way to DJ your event, then my insurance covers it, and it does the same for any issues that may occur at your event. Definitely make sure that your vendors, whoever you hire, has that liability policy, because you never know when something's going to happen. A lot of venues today require it, and they should. Make sure that they have that insurance. But yes, I do personally carry liability insurance. Here's another big one, another important one. If you're unable to perform on the wedding day, do you have a backup plan in place? Me personally, I don't plan to miss your wedding day. I just don't. I've been DJing now for about 7.5 years. I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 weddings deep, and I've only had to miss one wedding one time, and that was in January of 2021 because I popped positive for COVID. I just couldn't. I never really took COVID that serious. That was just my personal thing. I had it twice, was what it was. But I understand that other people do, and if I want them to respect my beliefs, opinions, whatever, then I have to do the same. I couldn't go to that wedding and live with myself if I knew I got one of their loved ones sick and God forbid something happened to them. So I did have to back out of that wedding. However, what I did beforehand was I contacted the individual that I would be my first choice to DJ for me if I was getting married today. I booked them, I paid them more than I was being paid for said wedding. And before I ever even called that bride, I had her DJ in place, ready to go. Mind you, we were 2 days from the wedding at this point, so we were there wasn't really an interview process, but I made sure I chose a good one to my knowledge. Everything went great. Long story short, if something were to happen and I was unable to be there that day, Savage Sounds Entertainment is absolutely going to make it right and do what we do to make sure you are covered. That's just kind of the way that I work. That being said, I don't plan to miss weddings. I don't intend to miss weddings. I recently just actually broke into my own trailer to do a wedding because my 5-year-old son threw my keys in the garbage and I didn't find out until I was walking out the door. So I had to destroy my trailer to do a wedding, and it ended up costing me about 5 times more than I was being paid for that wedding because I had to buy a new trailer. So believe me, I am not going to allow a whole lot to make me miss your day. Do you have a backup plan in inclement weather? Again, that's just kind of, if you're going, I'm going. So it would be, if I was found in that situation, I would just apply the same thing that I just told you. Do I carry backup equipment? Absolutely. Make sure that anybody providing service has some sort of backup. I have 4 extra speakers in my trailer that I'll use for ceremony, stuff like that. But yes, we do have backup equipment, or I have backup equipment. Well, I do sound check venue day of. Absolutely. As soon as I get everything set up, I'll typically arrive about 3 hours out from the start of the ceremony. It doesn't take me 3 hours to get everything set up. Well, normally some venues do, but it doesn't typically take me that long. I'm getting old and I don't like to rush a whole lot anymore. So yeah, I will absolutely do a sound check and make sure everything's ready to go before we start. Do I require meals? No. Typically I won't eat because if I eat, I get tired and I get lazy. Sometimes I will, but if I do eat, I'm the very last one to go through the line. And yeah, I don't require anything except for maybe an electrical plug to plug my stuff into. Am I responsible? Would the client be responsible for renting a stage if my venue doesn't already have one? Absolutely not. If you book me, you're never responsible for anything except for whatever I'm charging you. I would never make you responsible, and you should never hire a vendor that makes you responsible for providing something for them to do their job. That's crazy to me. I'm sure somebody will flame me in the comments, say, and prove me wrong, and that's fine. That's cool. But to me, you shouldn't have to provide anything. Here's another one. Do you set up a sign or a banner with your equipment? Absolutely not. If you are getting married and somebody wants to put promotional material above a business card up at your wedding, no. This is about the bride and groom. It's not about promoting your business. No, I don't do that. That's I don't know. I'm not with that. When can you always make sure that whoever you hire can provide you a contract? This is asking, when can we expect to receive a contract? You would get it with me as soon as you tell me you want to book. Always make sure you have something in writing. While most people in the wedding business have great intentions and always want to put you in your day first, there are some shady folks out there who do shady things. Always make sure you have something in writing to back yourself up. Is there a deadline for submitting song requests and our do not play list? No, I'll typically, just because once I see something, it kind of gets stuck in my head. So I will typically kind of hold you off on giving me any sort of song lists or stuff like that until we have that final meeting about a week out. So with me, we can meet as many times as you want leading up to the day. But I'm absolutely going to want to have that one day, that one last meeting about a week out, maybe 2 weeks out from wedding day, just so I can reconnect. I do a lot of weddings. I meet a lot of people. I see a lot of people. I just want to make sure I can reconnect with you. That's typically when I'll get your song list. That's typically when we'll get any sort of playlist you want to give me. On that note, you're welcome to give me as much or as little music as you like. If you are one of those people, like, you want to create the whole soundtrack to your day and you want it to be you and only you, then you're more than welcome to give me 5 hours of music. I do kind of consider myself to be your guide in this process, so I will kind of play devil's advocate with that list. For example, if you're a big metalhead, and you like rock and this, that, and the other, and that's fine. I do too. I love some of it. But traditionally, in my opinion, crowds aren't going to pop for that as much as what, excuse me, a fan of it would, right? So I'll kind of play devil's advocate and kind of tell you how I would kind of stretch that out a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're always going to do what you want to do, no matter what. I'll just kind of give you the information I feel like you need to make the best decision for you, right? So, yeah, you're welcome to give me as much or as little as you want. And then this last question, what information do you need from us? I don't require anything. I just need to know your names, where I need to be, and what date I need to be there. The only other thing, typically at that last meeting before we get to the day, I'll typically try to go ahead and let's settle up the balance. Per my agreement, I do say balance due is due day of, and I stick by that, right? Like, if we've got to wait until day of to handle that, then that's totally fine. I get it. I agree. Let's do it. But I do like to typically knock it out beforehand, just because it's really weird to congratulate you, thank you, and then ask you to pay me. I want to be part of your day. I want to be, you know what I mean? I want to be part of your crew. I want to feel that energy between us. And it's really weird. It makes me feel like a gigolo, and I'm not a gigolo. I've never been a gigolo. I don't care what anybody tells you. But yeah, absolutely. If you like what you hear and you're looking for a wedding DJ, send me a message right here through the website, Savage Sounds Kentucky. If you're seeing this somewhere else on Facebook or YouTube, check out Savage Sounds Kentucky. If you're on Facebook, Savage Sounds Entertainment LLC, just search me, can't miss me. You can also look me up, my name, Brandon Savage, out of Louisville, Kentucky. Shoot me a private message, shoot me an email, hit me on the phone. I'd love to talk to you about your day. Wedding day is one of the most important things that you'll ever do in your life, and I would be honored to help you do that. I know this has been a super long video. If you watched it all, thank you so much. I'm getting dizzy talking for this long. But absolutely, if you're looking for a wedding DJ and you'd like to reach out to me, you can see me, Savage Sounds Kentucky on YouTube, Savage Sounds Entertainment LLC on Facebook, or you can reach out to me through my Google business website. If you're not looking at Savage Sounds Entertainment, or you're somewhere else out there in the world, I hope that this list maybe helped you kind of find the best way to interview your wedding DJ. I don't remember the name of the website that I got this list from, because I just kind of copied and pasted and stole it. But if you see this, shout out to you. Thank you for the questions. I hope you guys have a great 2025. I am currently snowed in and stuck in the house with my wife, 2 teenage daughters, a 5-year-old son, and 3 dogs. So I'm hiding in the basement shooting this video. Hope you have a great 2025. Happy wedding season to everybody. I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.